Hey guys, it's Tyler. This is going to be a kind of loose response to Rick at 28mm RPG and Abraham, and uh, I'll borrow a I'll borrow a coin from their own book and say some people in the TT RPG community. Martial arts and role playing games are fundamentally expressions of honesty. Occasionally, and I'm sure any of you that have done martial arts or teach martial arts especially will have a student who refuses to try any technique. That's not the way they learned it at their previous school. That's not the way they think something will work. They have set the technique up for defeat before they have even seen it done at speed, before they've even seen it done against live resistance, before they've even tried it themselves just against the air, just as a form. Just on the pure look of it, they have set it up for failure. At the same time, however, they believe fully that their own style, where they've never sparred because it's too dangerous to spar, they believe that could, that they would be killing, John Jones and Mike Tyson and any of the MMA and boxing greats because, oh, they have too many rules. They're not even doing the same thing that we're doing. Well, no, they're not doing the same thing that they're doing because they spar and they actually fight constantly. Are there some rules? Yeah. Yeah. It's not exactly one to one with fighting, and it's never going to be because, well, people don't currently have a taste for true blood sport. Likewise, role playing games is never going to be full one to one immersion until, we get put in the pods in the dystopian post scarcity future. But it always strikes me that the people who, well, claim to be role players but don't, and the people who claim to be fighters but can't, they have a lot in common. Not only do they claim that the way we're doing it just works, the way what okay, but I've seen footage of you role playing. I've seen footage of those guys sparring, and it's crap. It doesn't look good to me. Now, hey, why don't you come over here and let's try it our way instead of doing point karate sparring? I'm the same way with both of these. I started with karate. Then I started doing backyard wrestling and realized I don't know anything about wrestling. If somebody took me down, I would be absolutely screwed because I had no idea what I was doing. I thought I knew how to fight and I did not. If you don't know how to wrestle, you don't know how to fight. If you don't know how to strike, you don't know how to fight. If you don't know how to use the mechanics of your game, you don't know how to play a role playing game. If you don't know how to not ask questions directly to the GM, you don't know how to play a role playing game. Now, if you are calling karate and not fighting, not mixed martial arts, you're not saying, "Oh, I could take the head off of any wrestler." That's fine. There's no issue. I love karate. I love karate for what it is, not even for its application. Even barring, there are things, just like in role playing games, we can learn from wargaming. We can learn from mechanics. The amount of mechanics I've taken from the skirmish game Mordheim and gone, that's such a cool idea, and it's inspired, my rulings on the fly and sort of dealings with mass combat as well before, although that hasn't always gone well. Yeah, it's great. Likewise, with the dreaded drama class and story gaming, you can take elements from acting and incorporate them into your role playing game. Mixed martial arts and actual fighting is never going to look exactly like boxing. It's never going to look exactly like Greco-Roman wrestling. But I mean, look at George St. Pierre fight. He uses some techniques from boxing, some techniques. That's what role playing is. It's a mixture of board games, war games, and something entirely different, right? You'll see those techniques in MMA that just don't work anywhere else. That you don't really. The oblique kick. You don't even really. That's from Savate, but you don't even really see it in Savate anymore. Striking in grappling. In what other sport? I mean, Wale Tudo, but that's basically just pre MMA and it doesn't really exist anymore. Striking while grounded. BJJ doesn't do that. Wrestling doesn't do that. Combat BJJ is kind of starting to do that, but even then, there's no elbows allowed. It's entirely different. So when you combine the two, you are in a fundamentally different universe than one of the other. So if you say you're an MMA fighter, but we don't do ground and pound. Oh, we don't do knees either. And, we allow eye gouges. Suddenly, that's not MMA. MMA is very specifically one thing. Maybe what you're doing is fine. Maybe you enjoy what you're doing, but don't call it MMA. And the worst part about all of this is that these sorts of martial arts students and these non-role players, they aren't even willing to try it a different way. Go to any Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class. See how many of them say, we don't start the white belts standing. We only allow the white belts to spar on the knees because it's too dangerous to start from the feet. Children in America are wrestling starting on the feet. As long as you've got mats or grass and soft dirt or sand underneath you and you know how to fall, you're gonna be fine. Even if you don't know how to fall, if you full hit your head on, dirt or a wrestling mat, you're probably going to be okay after a little while. You will not sustain a severe injury. Likewise, starting from the knees, you can get a knee injury all the same. But then ask those guys, hey, yeah, let's start standing. Let's start from an actual position. Oh, no. My BJJ instructor says that's too dangerous. Well, but it's not, though. My class has been doing that for years, and we haven't gotten an injury. Well, I just don't think that would work. And they start deflecting. They start getting defensive. It's the same thing non-role players do. I will guarantee you every single role player has tried Mother May I conversationalism, out of character, back and forth nonsense, 8-hour combat sessions that get nowhere because they're not role playing. Because that's how we started. That's how, just like every karate guy, everyone who started a striking class starts throwing punches in these big, swinging, looping telegraph manners. And then we stop doing that because it doesn't work as well as a straight jab or a tight hook or an elbow, right? We've tried both, and we've come to the conclusion that one of these is more effective than the other. All I would ask of my martial arts students and of the role players, the prospective role players out there, the people that want to call themselves role players, if you're going to call yourself a role player, try it the way us actual purity spiraling role players do. Just try it. One 30-minute session. You have all of the time in the world. Cut one of the podcasts out that you do. Make 30 minutes out of your day that, you're watching a video on YouTube for 30 minutes. Cut that out, just once, just one day of your life, and try it the way we do. It's free. It's free because you have the time to do it. I know you have the time to do it. But they won't. They won't try it. We don't even have... In martial arts, you have the excuse of injury. You do not have the excuse of injury. So just try it. Maybe you will find that you still enjoy doing it the way you've done it for, since the Precambrian period, for 45 years, since the days of chainmail and pre D&D. Maybe you will find that you were right all along, and you will be made stronger in your convictions. What is the best thing? When you spar somebody for the first time in a style that you've never done before, and you go, yes, my karate training wasn't useless. Karate does work. When I started wrestling, I was like, shit, karate's awful. And I start getting into it, and I'm like, wait, these forms that don't make any sense in a karate sport context totally make sense in a wrestling context. But we just don't wrestle. So maybe you'll find some of the rules in your tabletop games that you play start making sense when you actually role play them. They make a lot more sense, and things that you are already doing anyways become even better. They become enhanced by all of this. Just try it. Be honest to yourself. Is there a reason that you're not doing it the way that we do it? Because all I've heard is a lot of deflection, a lot of attacking the people who are saying, hey, I think it could be better if you do it this way. I play Pathfinder. Pathfinder would be a really weird game to play a story game in, right? What, do we just spend all those hours making characters to not use any of the mechanics on them? That doesn't make sense to me. But no one's willing to explain why they won't even try it. Bad martial artists have excuses. They have the excuse of injury, even when injury isn't present. Here, injury is definitively not present. So I defy you to try running a session with at minimal out of character. Only go out of character as far as the game mechanics require you to. Don't ask questions directly to the GM because he doesn't exist. She doesn't exist. Whoever doesn't exist. Don't be staring at your character sheet. Don't take... Set a minute and a half at max turn timer if you need to. I've started doing that with Pathfinder. Because at level 18, Pathfinder, you have too many damn options to look through on your sheet. It can be bewildering. And sometimes in combat, you freeze up. Just try it. Be honest to yourself and the community. Otherwise, you're not just not a role player, you're a liar. See ya.